I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm a little nervous, but I'm okay. I'm used to working behind the scenes and not being the person out front, so I'm a little nervous up here in front of you guys tonight. But it's certainly an honor to be here. It's incredible to follow Congresswoman Watson-Coleman and Cy. I mean, you know, you have lived lives that inspire me and have made a tremendous difference to workers and to this country. So thank you very much, and I'm humbled to be in your presence. First off, I would like to thank New Jersey Citizen Action for this completely unexpected honor and for all the incredible tireless work that you do across the state. I don't think any of us do movement work expecting recognition or awards, but at the same time, I'd be fibbing a bit if I said it doesn't feel nice when someone notices. I'd like to thank AFT New Jersey President Donna Chiera and my colleagues at AFT-NJ for putting me in the position to carry out important work that matters to workers and working class communities across New Jersey. Without your support and leadership, I wouldn't be here, and our movement wouldn't be nearly as strong as it is. I'd like to thank my wife, Aisha, a teacher herself and mother of our two beautiful children, who supports my work in so many ways, great and small. Not least of which is providing loving care to our kiddos during the long hours of a campaign or during an election season when I leave early and come home later. I'm a little sad right now because they're away on a camping trip at the end of the school year camping trip, so they couldn't be here. And I also can't be there. I'm used to doing all the cooking for the camping trip, so I don't know how they're going to get by. But this award belongs to all of you too, and thank you. Sisters and brothers, we are in very interesting times. The challenges facing our multiracial, multinational working class are legion. There perhaps has never been a time in human history when so much wealth has been concentrated in so few hands as right now. We are in the new Gilded Age. In this country, 8 people, the Koch and the Walton families, own a full 50% of the wealth of our nation and have pledged to spend more than $1 billion in 2016 in the 2016 elections to expand that number. Right now, another trade agreement, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, is being rammed down our throats by our supposed friends in Washington. If passed, the TPP would elevate multinational corporations to nation-state status, giving them the power to sue entire countries and overturn the will of democratically elected leaders if they pass legislation that is deemed to hurt the profit margins. If this comes to pass, can someone please explain to me how we could even refer to ourselves as a democracy anymore, and not what we'd really be, a corporate dictatorship? In every sphere of our society, the financial oligarchs are attempting to strengthen their influence, to hawk their free market wares. For 30 years now, there's been a movement to privatize all things public, from Social Security, to our National Postal Service, to our city services and public universities, to our very system of public education itself. We've seen teachers attacked and demonized as the enemy of the children they teach by cynical, shadowy hedge funders pushing unaccountable charter schools and voucher programs. Nowhere more cynically and clumsily than in Newark, New Jersey, under Kenny Anderson, I might add. But as big as the challenges are, as powerful as the grip of the elites seems to be, everywhere around us there are signs of a great awakening, of a growing movement against these trends. In Washington, D.C., Boston, New York City, Newark, and most recently, Philadelphia, the people, having been outspent by huge margins, have rejected the push to dismantle our schools. Every one of these mayoral elections became a referendum on the fight to save public education. In fact, the fight to save our schools and strengthen our schools has brought millions into the streets and into the ballot box. In Newark last year, Ras Baraka was outspent 8-1, but because of the work of the coalition of parents, students, community, and labor, the public education platform won the day. course, as we know, the fight continues. But something even more interesting is happening. As millions of working class people of all races and ethnicities are being drawn into the struggle around public education, the same communities are mobilizing to exclaim that Black Lives Matter and to demand a $15 minimum wage and the right to join a union. At the Dr. King rally I attended this year, there was no talk of volunteerism and community service. The talk was of building a local and national movement against neoliberal austerity measures, about building a movement that can challenge and win against the 1%, that sees all lives as important, but that fights especially hard for the black and brown lives that have been cast off by the Kochs and the Waltons and the Mellon Scaife and other captains of industry and finance. That's what Baltimore was. That uprising was a reaction to 40 years of deindustrialization and austerity in the black community. It was a reaction to schools that are underfunded and a racist policing and legal system that's broken and targets communities of color for private prison profits. It was a reaction to a system that has one legal standard for poor working class people of color and none for wealthy corporate criminals. Sisters and brothers, as I look around the country and I look around the labor movement, it's clear that the attack on unions has been successful. Our numbers are down. Our numbers are down at the same time that it costs more to win an election than it ever has before. This is no coincidence. Citizens United opened the floodgates on corporate money, and they're coming after us. Not to weaken us, but to wipe us out. We have a saying with an AFT that's meant to reflect this new reality and point a way forward. The saying is, community is the new density. What does this mean, though, and what is the implication of the statement for our jobs as union organizers, for the labor movement as a whole, and for our allies in the community? I believe the fight to raise the minimum wage in New Jersey and tie it to inflation was a great example of this thinking. No longer can unions just fight for the interests and concerns of our members, although we must continue to do that, and with vigor and passion we haven't seen in a long time. No longer can we think about the labor movement in narrow terms as being about that group of workers who are currently dues-paying members. The challenges are too big and the stakes are too high. If we are to continue to exist and to rebuild and to live up to the task that history has placed before us, more and more, the labor movement must speak with and for all workers. We must rally to defend all workers. We must be part of building a dynamic social movement that engages people in their workplace, in their neighborhoods, in their tenant organizations, on their campuses, in their schools. And when millions see us fighting alongside of them, in their interests, they will join us. We must forge strong electoral coalitions that stay together in between elections to hold politicians accountable. We must increasingly run our own members and progressive allies for office, and we must build up the grassroots infrastructure that can win elections. And in my opinion, we must do all of this while placing the fight against racism at the center of our work. The sharpest edge of every attack against workers has always cut black and brown workers more deeply. We cannot underestimate the role that racism continues to play in the efforts to divide our working class. And we cannot treat these attacks as a side issue that we'll get to later. It is the biggest obstacle to building real unity, and we cannot win if we are divided. Our recent victories prove we can win when we work together. They prove that coalitions work. Sisters and brothers, I am confident that we will turn this around. As I stand here with you today, I can already see what the future looks like. And it looks like this room. And it looks like the thousands and the hundreds of thousands who came out in Philadelphia and Newark and New York and Boston and DC and are coming out around the country fighting for a union and $15 and a $15 minimum wage. That's what this country looks like. Our day is coming. The time is near. The people are ready. Let's get to work. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in the streets and on the picket line.
Thank you. And point of personal privilege, AFT is my union. I was a Newark school teacher for 9 years. I was one of the first 200 teachers to go to jail in 1972 for 2.5 weeks because we fought for a contract. And I am proud that a member of my union, Newark Teachers Union, who's also supportive of citizen action, was able to get this award tonight. So this is a special award for me.